Welcome to the Displaced Diehards podcast, recorded at 2420 Studios in Owensboro, Kentucky. Download a new episode of the podcast every Friday at displaceddiehards.com. Follow us on Twitter at Diehards Podcast. You can also listen to the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. And as always, watch us Saturday at 10 p.m. on Time Warner, Channel 72. Yippee-ki-yay.
Displaced Diehards.
Displaced Diehards.
I am a Displaced Diehard.
I am a Displaced Diehard.
We are Displaced Diehards.
Welcome to episode number 28 of the Displaced Diehards NFL podcast. That's right, you heard it, 28. This is the Super Bowl edition. We made it all the way from training camp to the Super Bowl. A lot of us probably never thought we'd get here, but here we are. We're still doing this thing. And today, in honor of the Super Bowl, we're going to be the Superpowers. So I'm going to be playing the part of the Ultimate Warrior, Stephen A. Turner. Alongside my tag team partner, Mr. Brandon Ward, he's going to be playing the part of Hulk Hogan.
Episode 28, brother.
That's right, 28.
Yeah, brother. 28.
And thanks to this fucking podcast, I can't even stand to watch the NFL anymore. I'm so burned out on it. So give me to the offseason. Seahawks, Broncos, we don't give a shit. How about that?
If you notice, watch our show, and it's neither of the teams we have any correspondents for. Every team, we got like 16 people that talk about their teams on this show, and we got none of them in the Super Bowl.
Nobody.
So piss off, Roger Goodell.
That's right.
Your whack-ass Super Bowl.
You're killing me. But, yeah,
Your fucking Bud Light commercials.
I hope we're bleeping this, because we are on Time Warner Cable. We love you, Time Warner.
If last week didn't get us thrown off.
I don't think we're ever going to get thrown off. I don't think the people watch it to put it on the air. This is a test. If you're watching it, I'm glad. Thank you for putting this on the air. In the meantime,
Y'all fucked up.
we're just going off the rails today. As you can see, we're in a super mood for the Super Bowl. And
Super.
Speaking of
Superpowers.
we got to kick it out to Kenny the Snake Stabler, where I think he's still up in Asgard. I mean, why would you ever leave? It's a hell of a place. I've been there once. I got beamed up there by Odinson once when we started Josh Freeman, and I need to pick me up. So, Kenny the Snake, take it away.
What's up, Diehard Nation? This is Kenny the Snake Stabler for everybody's favorite segment, hashtag Ask the Snake. Now, as you might notice, I'm not in the studio today. They planned on having me down there, and I said, fuck you guys. I'm staying up here in Asgard, where the bitches are plenty and the meat is plenty. And since I hit up my cocaine dealer, Bobby T, the cocaine is flowing up here in Asgard, baby. We got all these people that up here, they worship me. They calling me King Snake. I ain't one of them f***ing garden snakes. I'm a king snake walking around here like I'm top shit. Ain't no way in hell I'm leaving this place, baby. I've been hanging out up here with my boy Low Key. I've been f***ing all these bar winches up here. And they were pretty good material, but then Low Key showed me these things they're like Asgardian super whores. They're called Valkyries. Not that shitty Tom Cruise movie about World War II. I'm talking about some fine-ass pussy for Kenny the Snake. And I've been wearing that shit out. Ain't no way I'm going back home, baby. They're going to have to make me leave this place. Now, every week, I bring somebody in to ask me the Twitter questions. But right now, there's a goddamn war going on outside up here. Everybody's worried about Bane. So we can't be letting stragglers in and out. So sorry, Gimp. I was going to have you ask me the question this week, but you're shit out of luck. So now you're stuck with Kenny the Snake. Let's get it started. Right off the bat, the Diehards host, at Stephen A. Turner, has a question for the Snake. He says, what city is my favorite city for a Super Bowl, huh? Let me think about it for a minute. I know one thing. It sure as hell ain't New York City, Roger Goodell, you dumbass. Having it up there where it's going to snow 2 feet. You're going to have to postpone the Super Bowl to a Monday or a Friday, you dumbass. Need to fire you on the spot. Getting Kenny the Snake all mad. Let me get a drink of mead here for a second. I guess if I had to pick a city, it'd be down between New Orleans, probably, as long as there ain't a hurricane coming through, or Miami. Both of them have really good whores down there. Not quite as good as Asgard. These Valkyries have been sucking my dick. Perfect. That's why I can't concentrate. I got these Valkyries licking my as we speak. Favorite city to have a Super Bowl in would have to be Asgard. So Roger Goodell, get his ass out of there. We'll put Odin in charge of the Super Bowl next year, and we'll have it right over here on this golden field made with pretty rainbows, baby. Moving on. Next question comes from @Broly's Daddy 77. He wants me to pick a winner on the big game. And I'll tell you who the winner in the big game is. It's going to be Kenny the Snake Stabler because we got a hell of a Super Bowl party planned right down here at the Broken Shield. It's a hell of a little get-together spot up here in Asgard. We get together and everybody just does some coke, drink some mead. Valkyries come over. It's a hell of a time. So the real winner in the Super Bowl is going to be Kenny the Snake because I'm not stuck in that cesspool known as Los Angeles. I'm up here in Asgard. But if I got to answer the question for real, I got to get serious here for a minute. We're talking about the Super Bowl, the biggest game of the year for some people. It seems like to me that the Broncos have fate in the corner. So put a gun to my head right now. I'll take the Denver Broncos Super Bowl champs. And I'm not taking any more questions today. I've already wasted enough of the Snake's time. I'm trying to get my ass licked up here, and you're cutting right into my time, baby. They try to get me in studio. I ain't leaving Asgard. They don't pay me enough to put my pretty face on Time Warner Television. So all you're going to get blessed with is Kenny the Snake's voice. And if you're lucky, I might stick with you through the off season. Once this war starts, all bets are off, baby. Bane, you better dig a deep hole, bitch. Because up here in Asgard, we're ready to kick some ass. Until next time. Hit me up. #AskTheSnake. If we even do this segment anymore, who knows? @I'm the Snake, baby. Until then, I'm getting my licked. We'll see you later.
Thank you, Kenny the Snake Stabler, for #AskTheSnake. Wow. That segment was brought to you by Philip Morris. They said, legal weed. Smoke it.
We're only talking about in Denver or Seattle, so don't
the Super Bowl cities. Chill out, guys. This is the Super Bowl special.
Or kick us off the air.
It's legal there.
We don't care. We're moving on.
Moving on now to another thing we don't care about. That's the Pro Bowl. Perfect segue into that one.
We're not in a bad mood today, but man, we sure are coming off negative.
And then, it happens whenever none of our teams have played in the last 3 weeks, and we started sitting here and talk about football for 3 hours. But the one thing they had about the Pro Bowl, they were like, let's make it cool. Let's make it like a fantasy draft out of it. And NFL Network went and even screwed that up. They made it they took it like 3 days to do it, and there was only certain positions you could pick at certain times. It ended up being like Nick Foles and Alex Smith as the last two picked. I mean, how the hell are those the last two guys?
And you have
a kicker.
You have Jerry Rice and Deion Sanders involved, which instantly makes me not interested because I hate both of them.
It instantly makes me nauseous.
That's right.
Because they both beat the Eagles in the
Fuck
playoffs one day.
How about that? Fuck both.
We're a bunch of salty NFC fans who've been beaten by the Niners too many
Definitely
times.
don't like Jerry Rice. He's got an attitude problem. He's not humble. And Deion Sanders, well.
Remember those sweet-ass balding cornrows he had, though, whenever he was in Seattle? Those were awesome. He looked like Coolio. You seen Coolio now? Coolio's got like the Hulk Hogan hair, but he's still got it Coolio'd out on the sides where he's got. It's crazy.
We need Coolio to come on the program, I think.
He's got a Juggalo tattoo and he misspelled Juggalo.
That's all the more reason to have him on the show. Perfect. But you're talking about Pro Bowl. You're talking about picking players at random. I liked it better when it was the NFC, AFC, and I didn't care about it. Now you implemented these monkey-ass guys in that.
And now all the Eagles aren't even on the same team for me to cheer for.
That's right. They're all spread out, and Vikings only have one anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But to make a Pro Bowl better, I think you just scrap the game altogether. I'd be way more interested. I would definitely watch a skills competition, or
They used to do it back in the day. They called it the Quarterback Club in like the early '90s, and then Dan Marino had like a Sega video game about it.
Yeah,
all kinds of.
It's a horrible game, by the way.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about like 8-bit system now and everything, so you can't critique it too much.
It was horrible because I sucked at it. That's why I could never master the moving targets.
Warren Moon wasn't any good on there.
No.
I'm sure figuring you used him.
No, absolutely.
Vikings quarterback back in the day.
Warren Moon and Jeff George.
Cunningham killed on that game. They were playing the skills contest from the Pro Bowl from 2006 on the NFL Network this week. I mean, that was funner to watch than the Pro Bowl. I sat there and watched all of that one. It was Michael Vick's era when he was in Atlanta, and I mean, it was old school. Nobody was even really in the league that was in it. I think Rich Gannon was in it. Gannon? It was still fun to watch. I sat there and watched it way more intent than I would the Pro Bowl.
Oh, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you could throw in the quarterback competition. There's all kinds of different things you could do. I actually saw one from a long time ago, back when John Randall played, where they had like the obstacle course. They had like a receiver, a defensive end. They like implemented different things for those guys to do. They like on, the teams were represented by like groups of guys that were on that team, and then they had a competition between each other. That was fun.
I'd like to see an over the goalpost duck contest.
Over the goalpost, Jimmy Graham could enter if he's not too soft.
Gronk could probably get some pretty mean ones
Gronk,
in
if
there.
he didn't break his forearm.
Calvin Johnson.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean,
Maybe LeBron would actually be in that one.
Anything would be better than the Pro Bowl. I mean, at this point. So I mean, come up with something. I mean,
for the kickers, I'd like to see them kick from different positions in the stadium through the uprights. Like put them in like the 12th row of the bleachers.
Yeah.
See if you can kick a field goal from there. You know? It's like those trick shots they do on YouTube. It's way more entertaining than the Pro Bowl. I can't less about that. And there's not a big of a chance of anybody getting hurt.
No, I agree 100%.
That's what it's going to take to get rid of this game. Is it's going to take some key player blowing out his knee in a Pro Bowl game, and then they'll figure out they shouldn't be doing it.
I mean, nobody cares about it. I guess if people are going to watch it, they're going to continue to put us through the middle of having to sit through a Pro Bowl draft and all. I mean, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
I liked it better when they did it in the Super Bowl city, too. It felt like kind of the kickoff of the week because they did it the Sunday before the Super Bowl in the stadium that the Super Bowl was at, and all the media was there. It felt bigger. Now, whenever it's in Hawaii, it just feels it's too separated.
Yeah, the players want it in Hawaii. That's what it boils down to.
Especially when it's in New York. It's like -9 right now.
They want the vacation out of the deal. But, yeah, I mean, NFL is king across all sports. I mean, when NHL has a better all-star game than you got problems. And Major League's got a great one.
Also, hockey does that kick-ass skills competition where they break plates with pucks and shit. I mean, they got their skills competition down.
Much better than the Pro Bowl. In the NBA, I mean, you're always going to have All-Star Weekend where you have the three-point shootout, dunk contest, much more entertaining.
Home run contest and Major League Baseball is even better.
Oh, yeah.
I hate baseball.
Everything about the All-Star game, as far as the NFL goes, needs to be better. I mean, when you're the king, you got to come up with better ideas than this crap. So I know surely they can put something together. And as much as the media, and not just the media, but the fans are starting to outcry about how horrible this is, maybe they'll do something to change it, hopefully.
Yeah, so if you're listening, stand up and protest to it. Just don't watch it. Maybe if the ratings are like -9, we'll take it off the air and we'll actually get a skills competition where people are dunking over goalposts and kicking from the bleachers. That'd be awesome.
That would be pretty epic.
Speaking of pretty epic, we've actually got the casual fan who we've heard from all year checking in, and he's actually going to be in the studio with a sit-down interview for us. Let's kick into that right now.
Hello, friends. Casual Fan Reporter here, checking in for the Displaced Diehards podcast, available for download via iTunes and Stitcher Radio. I'm feeling a little emotional and on edge today, not because this is my final analysis for the Natural Fighting League season, and I'm wondering where the hell my next check is going to come from. No, I'm a little thrown off the rails today because of all the crazy fighting that has transpired this past season of Bloody Battles. Holy jeez, the animal fighting world has gone completely bonkers, wacko, I tell you. It just goes to show that you cannot predict what will happen between two factions in this particular league when the fighting ensues. Just sitting here and thinking about this year's gruesome fighting makes me start to realize just what all I've learned about this great world's wildlife. For example, Chicago Bears are just damn lazy. They had several chances to stomp out the competition all around them with a razor-fingered foot, but who did they let get the upper hand on them? A bunch of movers and packers from cold-ass Green Bay, bringing new meaning to the expression, he's just a big old teddy bear. Not like the Lions did any better this year. King of the jungle, my ass. And what about the Jaguars? Spotted jungle cats roaming around the country getting their hind parts kicked by everybody? What a bunch of pussies. Can't forget about Sheriff Romo down in Dallas, fumbling around and pissing away any opportunities for re-election to his post. He couldn't even wrangle and handle those Indians from Kansas City, flopping around on his back like a fresh trout out of the river. Oh, my back, my back. Give me a break. Quit hitting those fat whores down at Roxy's House of Pleasure over in Fort Worth and you won't have these spasms. The Buccaneers from Tampa Bay? You kidding me? Bunch of flaming pirates swashbuckling around the Gulf, getting their peg legs snapped off by anyone and everyone. They tried getting booty all year round, and just like me, they fell short time and time again. When you start looking at the groups of fighting factions that actually excelled this year, it just makes you scratch your head and wonder what the hell is going on here. From what I can tell, if you were a horse, a bird, political, or middle-aged, you certainly had a chance at the ultimate prize, the Natural Fighting League Grand Champion. But these matchups are really getting to me. I feel as if my analysis fell well short on this season, and it's really making me start to do crazy things. I've been thinking about it so much, I even left my apartment the other morning with no pants on. Okay, that's a pretty average morning, but I typically don't dry hump my neighbor's glass sliding door on their balcony, and I'm starting to think that maybe I'm just living in my head a little too much. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my God, I can't stop thinking about how these vicious animals completely got their asses handed to them. And because of it, my picks totally got screwed over. I think I need a vacation. I had a dream the other night that a Titan was riding on the back of a Denver Bronco, flinging lightning bolts at buzzing Seahawks and some old guy riding in a Beamer with his top down. Pretty sure I was in San Francisco because there was a red bridge that everyone kept referencing as golden. And I was confused as all hell, especially when I looked down and I was riding on the back of a dolphin, dodging cannonballs from a nearby pirate ship, getting my head picked at by falcons dive bombing at me. I dove in the water to get away from those damn falcons, and a big-ass catfish with dreadlocks swam up to me asking if I knew any good coaches looking for a job. What the hell does this all mean? I'm freaking losing my mind. Okay, I'm a professional. I can do this without going totally Looney Tunes. I have one more pick to make, and it's a doozy, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but the NFL makes the two factions that are left alive do their final battle in a giant bowl, a Super Bowl. It's like really deep and curvy on the sides, and not a very good place to do battle, but if you're worthy enough to fight your way through all these other groups, then you better be tough enough to fight in a big-ass cereal bowl. The Broncos from Denver are meeting up with the Seahawks from Seattle in a final showdown for Natural Fighting League supremacy. When you factor in the battlefield of the giant curvy bowl, the Broncos don't stand a chance. Footing will be an issue, and I'm sure it's going to be a slick surface along with the curvy terrain along the edges of the battlefield, making it difficult for those majestic horses to maneuver around. Plus, you got to think those Seahawks will be spending the majority of their time flying around the bowl, taking their time and picking their opportunities to attack. I mean, really, what can a horse do to combat against a ravenous attacking bird 30 feet in the air, dive bombing and digging those crazy-ass sharp talons into their backs? It's only a matter of time before those Broncos bleed out, and with that, I'm taking the Seahawks to win in my final pick of the NFL season. The advantage of flight is just too much for those beautiful horses to come back from, and of course, fighting in a cereal bowl is enough to make you lose your mind, wondering what the hell is going on. I just hope those Seahawks end them quickly. I hate it when birds pick at their food, like when a vulture eats a skunk on the side of the road. Gross. Makes my stomach turn. Anyway, this is a casual fan reporter saying, keep listening, keep watching, and above all else, if you're an analyst breaking down rampant battles between animal and man, do not take heavy doses of dried mushrooms before going to sleep. Later. Yeah, I gotta get out of here. My buddy said he had to take the Browns to the Super Bowl. I wanted to catch a ride.
Thank you to the casual fan for the Natural Fighting League breakdown there.
That's right.
Now we're going to kick it to the special edition, Super Bowl edition of the program. As everybody, all the segment hosts are going to make their predictions. We had to get everybody's thoughts. We've had them all season talking about their teams, and we're going to kick it off right now with the ladies' man ref.
Sling Blade Manning.
Sling Blade.
Everybody's favorite Mongoloid quarterback.
Yes, this is a ladies' man ref, and you're going to ask me what I think about the Super Bowl? I don't care, man. My season was over 3 weeks ago. You ain't seen me in a game since then. I just hope I can get a good set of, some of them cocktail wieners and the barbecue sauce with the grape jelly. That's what I'm talking about. But if I had to pick a team, give me the Seahawks, man. Everybody's on the Broncos nuts. I don't give a shit. Let's do the Seahawks, baby. Seahawks all the way. Ladies' man ref. Yes.
This is Eli Manning. Some call me Sling Blade Manning. I call myself Eli Manning. I'm still out here in the hole outside Papa Manning's house. I'm here on the Displaced Diehards podcast to give my Super Bowl predictions. I know a lot of people think that I should be picking Denver Broncos since my brother Peyton, my big brother Peyton, he plays for them and he's trying to get a Super Bowl ring. But really, I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks because Peyton Manning. I hate my big brother so goddamn much. I'd like to hit him with one of them Sling Blade saws, Kaiser Blade saws. If it wasn't for Big Brother Peyton, I'd have been a favorite son, and I'd have got the big bedroom, and I'd have gotten to sleep in the house, and I'd have home-cooked meals instead of the scraps that the dogs don't eat, and I wouldn't be out here in this goddamn hole, cold night and snowing. So, yeah, I hope that Richard Sherman drops Peyton Manning on his neck and breaks it so I never have to deal with him again. The only thing I've got over my big brother is that I've got more rings than him. And if he wins this run, then, it won't be good for me. It's already bad. Let me have this one thing over my big brother, or I might just kill him with a sling blade.
Action!
Action.
All right.
Go.
Woo! Thank you for that, ladies' man ref and Sling Blade Eli Manning. Man.
From one Super Bowl quarterback, we'll go ahead and move it to the Super Bowl matchup for the quarterbacks here. You got Peyton Manning taking on Russell Wilson. Can't really get much different. And you look at styles, you see Peyton Manning out there wants to throw for 400 yards and is almost 40. And then you got Russell Wilson, who's just out of college, he's 23 years old. And wants to throw for 200 yards and a controlled offense. I mean, it can't be much more two different quarterbacks in a matchup.
Yeah, Russell Wilson is coming in with not much playoff experience, just what he has under his belt, this year and last year. And you got Peyton, who's been around the block a few times, got a Super Bowl ring. He's lost quite a bit of big games as well. So basically what you take from this is the Broncos have a huge advantage in the quarterback department. I'm a big Russell Wilson guy, and I thought he played lights out in the second half of the NFC Championship game. But, in a game like this, I'm going to have to roll with Peyton Manning. Unless it's blizzard-like conditions, and then all bets are off. So we'll see what happens. Who knows what's going to happen with the weather in the Super Bowl. I think that's going to have a huge impact on the game. Usually
whenever you look at Peyton Manning's experience in the Super Bowl against a young quarterback like Wilson, you think that he's going to have the advantage not being rattled out there. But everything I've seen from Russell Wilson since he came in the league tells me he's not going to get rattled if things start not going his way. Like, whenever you've seen in the NFC Championship game, right off the start of the game, he had a fumble, and then the Niners turned that into points, and everybody's thinking that was going to be a real low-scoring game. And you think Russell Wilson would go out there and try to get the ball down the field, put the points up.
Well, he doesn't have to.
And he just kept to his guns and stayed his normal self. Not really much of a Russell Wilson guy, but he's more of an Alex Smith type guy to me. But that's one thing he does. He controls the game. And if his defense goes out there and plays, it's going to be the matchup of the defenses, I think, more than the quarterbacks.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to the defense here in a bit on down the line. And that's the thing about Russell Wilson is he doesn't have to press. He's got the luxury of having one of the best defenses in the last 10, 15 years out there, I think, especially when they're playing at home like they were in the NFC Championship game. I think you'll start seeing a little bit different if they were to fall behind by like 14. Look like the Broncos are starting to look like the Broncos have all season. But I have a lot of faith in this Seattle defense. They're very well built. So, but if you put them head to head, obviously Manning's got the advantage overall as far as throwing the football down the field. I mean, his stats more than double Russell Wilson. So
yeah, you're talking about a 5-time NFL MVP and arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play the game against a guy who I just compared to Alex Smith. So you can figure that out.
And I mean, that's not a knock on Russell Wilson. I'd take Russell Wilson in a heartbeat to be my quarterback. I love how he manages the game, but
I'll keep Nickpolean Foles over Russell Wilson.
But I think he's got the leadership ability of a 10-year vet. So we'll see how it goes in the Super Bowl. I don't expect the moment to be too big for him, like you said. But we're talking, like you said, 5-time MVP. I'll roll with Peyton in the matchup head-to-head.
Speaking of Nickpolean Foles, we're actually going to hear from him coming up as in our Super Bowl predictions segment. We're going to hear from the quarterbacks, Jaded Jay Cutler, Nickpolean Foles, androgynous Aaron Rodgers, and Drunk Bernie. Let's kick it to them right now for their Super Bowl predictions.
What's up? Jay Cutler here. First ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. Displaced Diehards want to get my Super Bowl prediction. But I just got paid. I'm down here in Malibu, still hanging out with the cast of Laguna Beach. I don't even know who's in the game. Is that Kristen? The Broncos and the Seahawks. My former team, huh? Well, obviously, they're not going to be able to win the Super Bowl without Jay Cutler commanding the huddle. So I guess give me the Seahawks. I'm going to go have a threesome with Steven and LC. And that Steven gives one hell of a blowjob. Not Steven A. Steven, the gay dude with the surfboard.
This is Aaron Rodgers for Displaced Diehards. They want me to say who I think's going to win the Super Bowl, and I don't really give a crap. So I think the Seahawks, their uniforms are snazzy. They're way better than the Broncos. They look like a bunch of Looney Tunes running around out there with their orange and blue costumes. I only watch the Super Bowl for the commercials. Who cares anyway? And I'm about tired of these stupid Bud Light ads. Nobody cares about the stupid governor. Seriously.
Aaron, you're taking too long. Get back in here.
Shut up, bitch! I'm trying to do an interview! Just because you're a former MVP, you can't tell me what to do, bitch! Show your face! I'll come in there and pay attention to you when it's your turn! Nobody gives a shit about the Super Bowl or Ryan Braun. I'm kidding, sweetie. I'll be right there.
God, this is Nickpolean Dynamite Foles, calling in for Philadelphia for the Displaced Diehards podcast. God, always bother me with questions. Why are you asking me questions? Jeez, gosh. I want to know who's going to win the Super Bowl. Like, I even care. God, I'm practicing my nunchuck skills for next season. But if I have to pick a winner for the game, I guess I'm definitely not picking the Seattle Seahawks. God, They freaking suck. And plus they're the NFC. I can't root for anybody in the NFC. It's not the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. The Seahawks don't have as big of talons as the Eagles. Great big talons. I'm rooting for Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos because Peyton's like a cyborg. Like he's got a robotic neck and mad arm skills. Now leave me alone so I can eat my tater tots. Jeez.
Says Bernie Kosar for Displaced Diehards NFL podcast. And they want to know who I think is going to win the Super Bowl. And I'll tell you, I don't give a shit. I hope Bane blows it up. Bane, hit me up on my cell phone or my pager. We're going to blow up the Super Bowl. F*** it all. F*** you all. F*** everybody. Burn it all down. We can take one thing away for our opinion for the Super Bowls. We don't give a shit about the Super Bowl. Show me commercials. Bernie Kosar signing off.
Thank you to Jaded Jay Cutler, Nickpolean, Foles, and Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers, and Drunk Bernie for their Super Bowl predictions.
Good job.
From the quarterbacks. Now going to move it on to the coaching matchup as you'll have John Fox, who didn't coach all the season there. As he
Foxy.
had a little bit of an ailment. As he'll
He'll have a heart attack.
As he'll match up with Pete Carroll. Neither of them have won a Super Bowl, so not like you can say any of them have any kind of significant experience.
But he has won an NCAA title. How about that?
Then it got taken away.
And maybe, I don't even know if he has any under his belt officially anymore. You talked about John Fox. I was a big John Fox fan in Carolina. I thought it was a great hire when they made it. But I don't know how much credit you can give John Fox whenever you got Peyton Manning. It looks like that he's running the show there.
Yeah, I was debating whether or not it should be John Fox or Peyton Manning as the coaching matchup here.
That's right. I'm not going to take a lot away from John Fox. I mean, he has managed the team, somewhat well. Obviously, they were the best team in football this year. Throughout most of the year, so we got to give a little bit of credit to him. He's got a fine staff there. Jack Del Rio, defensive coordinator, they've had their work cut out for them with a lot of injuries, suspensions, and whatnot. I feel like Del Rio's done a pretty good job as a defensive coordinator.
So good of a staff there, they don't want to leave to go coach Cleveland.
Not even take an interview.
They wouldn't take your free meal and private plane trip.
Yeah, Adam Gase. I mean, he was a hot candidate, and he didn't end up interviewing anywhere.
Gase, you better get you a job before Peyton Manning retires.
That's exactly right. He should have ran out of there. If Peyton decides to ride off in the sunset if he wins the Super Bowl, Gase might have missed his opportunity. But on the other side of the ball, you've got Pete Carroll. Honestly, in this matchup, I've got to roll with Pete Carroll as the better of the two coaches, the head guys anyway.
Yeah, whenever Pete came in, I thought he was going to struggle. I thought he was going to be like a Steve Spurrier type, or just name any of the big time NCAA college guys that came in and was overhyped. But he came in, I thought he was going to only be able to succeed whenever he had the physical advantage with all the blue chippers he had at USC and things like that. But the way he's put this team together, and you got to also give credit to the GM, like you were saying on the radio show.
Right.
But I mean, he uses the talent well. I mean, it's not like he even has that many prolific weapons on offense. Like we were saying, everybody says how bad Tom Brady's receiving core is. The Seahawks receiving core, especially up until this point, without Percy Harvin, is worse.
Don't tell Doug Baldwin that. I mean, he got fairly offended at Chris Carter. I think they got into a little exchange, but I agree 100%. And
Chris Carter can just show him his Hall of Fame ring, tell him to shut the fuck up with that, though.
I think he already did. He did the exact thing.
Come on, man.
That's right. But yeah, and then you got Darrell Bevell calling the offense, my favorite offensive coordinator, obviously, now that he's not my coach, thank God. And then you got Quinn, who is also a hot candidate for a lot of jobs running the defense. The Seahawks are very well equipped in the coaching staff department. I like the Seahawks coaching staff better than I like Denver's coaching staff. So if it comes down to X's and O's, which at the end of the day, I think we touched on at the beginning, Peyton Manning's the real coach. He walks up to the line of scrimmage, he sees the defense, adjusts accordingly with Omahas and Fat Mans and whatnot. And
Pizza slogans.
And that's right. And calls out the Papa John's commercial.
I think the Seattle coaches actually have the upper hand on matchups because the Seattle defense is almost custom made. It's the thing. The way they play is how Peyton Manning doesn't want a defense to play. They bump you off the line, throw you off your timing, and that's what Peyton Manning's built with. So I think the Seattle coaches have a good advantage with the matchups that they have. So I'll go with Seattle's coaching too. So that's pretty much 1-1. One for Denver and the quarterbacks, and one for the Seahawks with the coaching matchup. We got a couple people who's got some ties to coaching on the show. We're going to get the predictions from. We're going to hear from the Count, who, of course, is the father of Mike Smith, the Falcons coach, and also Undead Al, who was a Hall of Fame coach, won a Super Bowl. Let's kick it to them right now.
It's me, the Count. And I'm back for the Displaced Diehards. I had to wake up to watch my grandson, Mike Smith, coach the North team in the Senior Bowl yesterday. And unfortunately, just like the rest of the season, Mike Smith got his ass kicked. I'm starting to wonder about you, grandson. I might have to disown you from the family and send you walking in the sun if you don't get your shit straight pretty soon. Moving on from the Senior Bowl, the Diehards want to get the Count's prediction on the Super Bowl. The Count has got to go with Seattle because they have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They have the 12th man. Go Seahawks. That is my prediction for Super Bowl number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Super Bowl. Speed. Seahawks. Beast mode. Let's speed. Adderall synthetic speed. Win, baby. Just win, baby.
Thank you to the Count and Undead Al for their Super Bowl predictions. Going to move on to the running game portion of the Super Bowl. And of course, you got Marshawn Lynch, who Undead Al obviously was a big factor in his prediction of the Seahawks winning. You got Marshawn Lynch, beast mode, and then you got Noshawn Moreno, and you also got Monty Ball, who they've been bringing in through midseason, who's almost picked up as much carries as Noshawn in the last few weeks. So, I don't know. The two-headed monster is always great unless you have them in fantasy football, I guess. You don't depend on them. You never know whenever a running back can go down at any time. So the way I'm leaning, I guess, would be the Denver run game, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, Noshawn Moreno doesn't get nearly as enough credit as he deserves. I thought he was one of the top 10 running backs across football. All season long. That's splitting carries with Ball. But on the other side, you got Marshawn Lynch, who's always seems like he's always good for a big run in a big game like this. You always look for him to break off like a 30 or 40-yard one like he did in the NFC Championship game. I look at it almost as a push. I mean, both teams, and to be honest with you, the way I really, if you look at the full spectrum of it, and you look at the Broncos' run defense versus I know we're going to get into defenses, but Broncos run D, Seattle D, I think Seattle has the advantage with Lynch versus Broncos run D. That's how I would look at it, just in a head-to-head matchup. But as far as running backs alone, I think it's pretty close to being a push, really, talent-wise.
But that's a very ESPN answer there. You gotta pick a side on the Displaced Diehards. You gotta go with one so we can have one to account you for.
I'm not. I guess if for one person, it's got to be Marshawn Lynch. Give me Marshawn Lynch over Noshawn.
I think the big thing in this is something Kenny the Snake brought up earlier is you got to wait and see what the weather is for this game before you figure out how the running game's going to work. Because if it's bad weather, I like Marshawn, and if it's bad weather, I don't think the Broncos. I think they'll struggle and they won't be running the ball anymore. So
if we're talking about this game, this one game, then I think that it's a push. I think both teams will run the ball equally as effective. I think it's going to come down to who makes the biggest play. I think it come down to a special teams play if the weather is like we think it's going to be. I mean, it's New York in the middle of winter, barring a miracle like the Peyton has, had all playoff long. I think
Tim Tebow was involved with the Broncos, so miracles could happen.
Right, it's not going to be the greatest weather. I think it's going to be a slugfest. I think it'll come down to one or two big plays in this game.
Or if it's not a big play, it could be the team that doesn't make the big mistake. I mean, a fumble or a turnover or anything like that kill you.
Yeah, I could definitely see a big return from Holiday or something being the difference in this game. To be honest with you, I really think it could possibly be that close. I don't see Denver blowing them out. I think Seattle's defense is much too good to give up too many points. So, running game will be a factor of who can, especially for Seattle more than Denver, in the sense that if they can keep Manning off the field and be successful in the running game, and that could be a huge key. And that's something they're obviously going to look to. But Denver did a fantastic job of shutting down the New England running game. Blunt and company just coming off that huge game the week before.
Yeah, went for 200 the week before and then 40 combined the next week.
That's a great matchup to keep your eye on. It's a matchup that's probably going to have a pretty good impact on how the game comes out.
Got our predictions on the running game. Now going to kick it to a former running back in the NFL, Ricky Williams, for his Super Bowl prediction. And we're also going to hear from Dirty Kermit and Odinson. Let's kick it to them right now.
Hey, 'cause I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. La da 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 da. I was gonna go to class before I got high. Come on, check it out. I could have cheated and I could have passed when I got high.
This is Ricky Williams for the Displaced Diehards podcast for a Super Bowl prediction. And I don't really care who wins the game. The way I look at it, there is legal weed in either city, so both of the Super Bowl celebrations will be good for me. So I'm actually hoping for a tie so I can smoke out in both cities. Back to you.
From Kermit to you well to I hope you're absolutely.
Kermit the Frog here for the Displaced Diehards podcast. They want to get my take on the Super Bowl like Kermit gives a shit, because I don't give a about this game. But I guess if you're going to hold a gun to my goddamn head and make me make a pick, I guess I'll take the Broncos. They eliminated those butt Patriots, so give me Denver. Fuck everybody. Back to you.
Ha-ha, 'tis I, Sir Odinson. Thou hast only but a fleeting moment of time, but I have come here to the Diehards podcast to bring thou this Super Bowl prediction. The Odinson will choose the Denver Broncos. I had the Enchantress look into the future and tell me who was going to win the game, and the Broncos will be victorious this day. Now there is a war waging upon in my city, and I must go back to the war.
Thank you to Ricky Williams, Dirty Kermit, and Odinson for their Super Bowl predictions. Going to move it on now to the wide receivers / tight ends, the guys that Manning and Wilson will be throwing the ball to. Going to see how they match up. And when you look at it on paper, obviously it's the Denver Broncos. I mean, you got Wes Welker out there, you got Demaryius Thomas, you got Eric Decker. At tight end, you got Julius Thomas. On the other side, you got a whole lot of nothing, and you got they're hanging their hopes on Percy Harvin, who'll play about 3 plays and probably limp off injured.
Yeah, once Percy gets his badge tore, he'll probably stay out the rest of the game. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty lopsided when you look at it. I mean, you have to give Baldwin some credit. He has stepped up huge, and he actually led this receiving core throughout the year. He's been a fairly solid target. But, I mean,
that tells you how whack their receiving core is right there. Baldwin was the leader.
I'm trying to help you, Doug Baldwin, but when you look at the other side, I mean, I would take Denver's third or fourth wide receiver over Doug Baldwin. So yeah, Denver's leaps and bounds, more talented. I think that's the story of this game. Really, if you really want to dig into the matchup for the Seahawks, it's most important. It's their DBs versus how they're going to slow down this attack.
That's what I was going to say. Whenever you're looking at the wide receivers, you got to take into account the defenses that they'll be seeing. And the Seattle defensive backs are the best in football.
That's
so
right.
I mean, you got probably the best receiving core lining up against the best defensive backs.
That's what you're going to get. In this game, you're getting really the best matchup. I mean, as far as across the board, you're getting the best team offense versus the best team defense. It's not really even a question.
As much as none of us here at the show want to watch this game,
actually,
it's
I mean,
a matchup.
I think I'm actually excited to watch the Super Bowl. I just hate the freaking 2-week build-up with all the talk and everything. I just, I'm ready to play the game. I'm in that mindset because I'm ready to get to the off season. Obviously, I'm a Vikings fan. My season's been over for about 3 or 4 months. So I'm ready to get to the off season and get things restarted. That's
He's in
why
draft mode right now.
I'm in such a bad mood about. But I think this has potential to be a great game. It really just depends on the weather. It's a running theme. I think
Thanks for putting it in New York, Roger.
Yeah. And then you got this idiot, Roger Goodell, who is talking about, I just got to talk about that, because, I mean, you got this moron, Roger Goodell, who decides it'd be a great idea to have a Super Bowl in New York, and he goes to bat for it and tries to tell everybody it's a great idea. And then, you know, we get to within a week of the Super Bowl, and this idiot's talking about moving the day they're going to play the game. I mean, I'm sure that's probably very slim chance of happening. But I hope it happens because
anarchy.
This moron thinks it's a great idea, and now somebody's going to want to change the day because it might snow.
You never figured that out when you were scheduling? It might snow in February in New York?
In New York, where it snows 90% of the time.
Feel free to pick up a farmer's almanac, which will give you the same reading for the last 100 years that in February in New York is going to be fucking cold and it might snow.
I don't know how this guy...
Shocker.
People get behind this guy as a
breaking news.
Good commissioner because I don't see it. I don't understand it. I think he's not good for the game of football, and that just is what it is. I think he needs to be replaced.
He's good for the money of football, and that's all that matters to the NFL.
The money, as far as trying to save him money on lawsuits, shots to the head, where we put skirts on all these players and start playing with Nerf football. That's what we're headed to. So
shots to the head, a perfect segue to our next group of predictions. As is going to be Aaron Hernandez and Riley Cooper with their Super Bowl predictions. Take it away.
Wow.
Yo, what's cracking? It's the tight end that might make your life in, Aaron Hernandez, calling in for the Displaced Diehards to give you my Super Bowl prediction. And if you've been listening to this show at all, you know I ain't picking any team that's got that little Peckerwood Wes Welker on it. So give me the Seattle Seahawks, and hopefully Bane blows it up so we can get rid of that little problem known as Wes Welker. And also, Seattle be keeping my gang, the Bloods, high in pay, y'all. They buy all that Adderall from us. We get it to them on the real, on the streets. We keep it with them. Give me the Seahawks. I'm out. It's Riley by God Cooper here, checking in on the Displaced Diehards to give you my Super Bowl prediction, boy. And when I look at the two quarterbacks in the game, Russell Wilson and Peyton Manning, I got to pick Peyton Manning. When I look at the color of his jerseys, I hate that weird green color that Russell Wilson wears. That shit is weird, boy. Give me the Broncos.
Thank you to Aaron Hernandez and racist Riley Cooper there for their picks on the Super Bowl. Moving on now to the defensive portion of the Super Bowl matchup and look at the defenses as these two teams set to battle. And it's almost one-sided as the receivers here earlier, if you look at it, because that's to the other side. It's on the other side of the field. Seattle Seahawks have got the clear advantage on defense, in my opinion. They're the best defense in the league, probably one of the better defenses I've seen in the last decade.
Yeah, you can't really argue with this. I mean, obviously, it's the Seattle defense across the board. They built this defense just to, be dominant. I mean, they've done a fantastic job there. Schneider, the GM, and we already touched on it. Pete Carroll, they've done a fantastic job. We said it last week. They only have 3 players on the entire team remaining from the 2010. So in a short, very period of time, I mean, they have built this defense from the ground up. Pete Carroll's taking draft picks in the first round. You're watching it and you're like, who in the hell is Bruce Irvin? This guy's like a 4th round grade on him. Pete Carroll drafts him, plugs him in, and he's got a role for him. That's what the thing is. This defense is built on roles, and they play them very well. And like I said, I think they're the best defense that I've seen on the field probably since the Ravens defense when they won it with Trent Dilfer. I mean, they're that dominant.
I mean, the star of the Super Bowl, Richard Sherman, was a late-round pick, but he's ended up becoming the best cornerback in the league. Right. So, I mean, he's got an eye for talent for sure. Like I said earlier, whenever he came to the NFL, I thought he was going to struggle. I thought he was only a good coach because he had supreme talent in USC. The same way with like the USC running backs, whenever they get to the league, they don't do as well because they were helped out by having superior talent on the offensive line. Almost like Alabama, Trent Richardson.
We had to get the beast mode talk in there.
Got to get it in there once. Can't let her say live that down yet.
You go to the other side, go to the other defense. I thought Denver, if you want to take something away to maybe make this a more interesting matchup, you could say that Denver probably played their best game against New England. I thought their defense played as good as it's played all season. They saved it for the best time. They completely shut New England's running game down. I feel like if they come out and they find a way to limit Marshawn Lynch the same way they did LeGarrette Blount and company, I think you're looking at a direct advantage to Denver. I don't think, obviously when you sit down, you don't have to be a football genius. It's not rocket science. Just, you sit down and you watch the game film on Seattle, the first thing you're going to pick out is we're going to stop Marshawn Lynch, and we're going to, if Russell Wilson beats us with these mediocre receivers, so be it. So if Denver can limit Marshawn Lynch in the running game in Seattle, it's definitely advantage Denver.
The thing unfortunate for Denver, though, is unlike the Patriots wide receivers, Denver's wide receivers are all taller than Emmanuel Lewis. So, I mean, not like they're just going to be able to shut them down and expects a bunch of slot receivers out there running over the middle and only have to worry about protecting 10 yards down the field. Peyton Manning will gladly, if you're focusing on his run game, he'll gladly carve you up for a 60-yard touchdown pass to Demaryius Thomas.
No question about it. Denver advantage Seattle, but I think Denver matches up fairly well with it. I can't wait, especially if they match up Sherman with Demaryius Thomas. Look for I know that Belichick complained about the pick plays, calling them dirty and whatnot, and the way that Seattle is going to defend Denver. Get ready for it because you're going to see a lot of pick plays, a lot of crossing routes from Denver to try to offset the jam coverage, the press coverage at the line, the man coverage. So they're going to be looking at a lot of crossing, possibly dirty plays, possibly by Wes Welker. So watch your knees, Richard Sherman.
We've heard what we think of the defenses in the Super Bowl. We actually wanted to get Bane's prediction because, who knows defense better than Bane? He gets through like SWAT team defenses.
We asked him last week.
And all kinds of things like that. And actually, instead of taking over our airwaves, he actually sent us a message saying he wants to be on the show. So if Bane asks, we're going to give it to him. Let's send it to Bane right now.
Yeah, we don't want him to blow up the studio.
I am Bane. I am here outside of Asgard, trying to break through its defenses with my League of Shadows. I have taken this time to bring the Diehards a message. There will be no winner of the Super Bowl. Once I've finished with Asgard, MetLife Stadium is our next target. Both teams will lose because they'll be buried under the rubble. The fire will rise.
Thank you to Bane for actually sending us his segment this week instead of interrupting our airways. We're going to move on now to our Super Bowl predictions, as long as Bane doesn't blow it up, of course.
Correct.
Steve, who you got in the Super Bowl?
Well, I've been saying a lot depends on the weather, but I'm going to roll as if it doesn't really matter. I've got to go with the team that I think is the better team. I'm going with the Broncos and Peyton Manning. That was my preseason pick, and I'm going to roll with them all the way to the Super Bowl.
I'm going with Seattle. I think I'm going because of the weather. I'm going to go common knowledge and assume that in February in New York it's going to be cold and windy and possibly snowing, and that's not Peyton's environment. Give me Seattle, 24-21.
We're going to kick it to the other people in the studio now. We have a little group over here, and we're going to get everybody's predictions. We'll tally them up at the end and give you an ultimate Displaced Diehards prediction.
Started off with Brian Sumner.
Hello. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
First time ever in 2420 Studios. It's like going to Disneyland for
It
us.
is.
Welcome.
Brought all the big guns out for the Super Bowl show.
Right.
Much like Disneyland, without all the desperation.
Sure.
My pick, I'm taking Denver. I gotta go with Peyton Manning going through the playoffs like he has been. I don't think the weather's gonna be a factor like most people are making it.
It is his destiny.
It is just
All right. Super producer, Ill Bill Hardesty.
I'm going to go with Denver just because Denver. Why not?
Just because Denver, why not?
Just because Denver, why not?
Next, we're going to kick it to Roger Turner. Who's your prediction?
And if you could finger that mic a little more, it sounds great.
I love how all of them paid attention to go to the stable mic and passing it around, making it sound like hell. So we apologize to all the listeners
All right,
for
just finger it a
everybody
little
being
more.
morons.
Sounds so I like it. Bring it.
It's all going to get cut out.
So says the producer.
Indeed.
Apologies.
But I'm rolling with...
you can't cut it out now.
With their hands. Inside you.
We're having fun. It's a Super Bowl party.
Season's over. We're burnt out. Fuck it.
All right. I predict that the Denver Broncos are going to be winning the Super Bowl. They're obviously, I think they're the better team, the more... I
The better team.
The
That's-
better
that
team.
sounds
Let's just
good.
roll with that. We're cutting everything else out right there.
You're done.
Usually wins.
Moving on.
To actually the first time in the podcast studio. Also,
I think he should sing his prediction.
Usually hear him just singing. It's Michael Moore's. We call him Beans. Who you got?
San Diego. Nah, I'm just joking. Seattle Seahawks, baby. I believe they can get the pressure to Peyton Manning when it's cold. I don't believe the cold thing anyway, but we'll see. I think Seattle will get it.
How about that? And that's going to round out our predictions, and we'll let me see here.
When you tally them all up here from all of our segment hosts,
Seattle has 11
correspondents.
picks. Seattle has 11 of those picks, and Denver has 11.
11. Tied 11. We said this is
11.
going to be a good matchup here. You can't get any. We had 22 people make their predictions and ended up 11-11. And what better way on Displaced Diehards to figure something out as important as the Super Bowl? The coin flip. Let's do it.
Heads will be Denver
Two-face style.
because Peyton Manning has the biggest forehead I've ever seen. So
There's
we're going
a
heads,
red
Denver.
dot on that forehead,
That's
so
right.
that's Peyton Manning.
And then on the tails, we're going Seahawks because Pete Carroll's an ass.
Because the Eagles howl in Seattle.
I don't know what it is. Somebody's going to have to tell me.
We're going to need some
Step
production
in.
here. Production.
What? I can't see it. So
Production
or no production. I don't know.
Production's going to have to tell us also.
It is heads.
Peyton Manning prevails.
Wins the Super Bowl.
With the biggest forehead. It pays off for him.
It was that giant red birthmark on his head that made him win the Super Bowl after all.
Confetti coming down.
Maybe we'll have an interview with that thing, like the face thing on Drew Brees' face after they win the Super Bowl.
This is fun. That's going to do it for the Super Bowl. We've got we got another segment left, just specifically for us. Mr. Sumner has prepared. It's a segment, questions for Ward and Steve. I can't wait to be put on the spot. With
Hashtag Ask the Host.
Hashtag Ask the Host.
And he's here in studio with us, like we mentioned a while ago. He's like he's in Disneyland. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And we've been hearing about this segment for about a month now.
Yes.
The anticipation in 2420 Studios has rose to Asgardian-like proportions. So
absolutely.
What do you got for us? I'm very excited. This is going to be interesting.
Well, it's just a sweet idea, just to get you guys pick your brains. You guys are the host. You are the Displaced Diehards.
That's right.
And came up with sit
Absolutely.
down with Ward and Turner, and basically I'm just going to pick your guys' brains and ask you some questions. And
we're pumped.
And I got it broken down into.
If you ask us about the Super Bowl, we're throwing you out of here.
Yeah, not going to ask you about the Super Bowl.
Okay,
beat that horse. I got it broken down into 3 different segments, and the first one's pretty laid back, and I'm just going to ask you some questions, and you guys can take your time to.
I feel like I'm being interrogated.
Yeah,
I know.
Should bring the light
Still
in
something
on you?
before we came in?
Bright light in my eyes.
All right. So I'm going to kick the first question out, and you guys will both answer it, and we'll start with Ward. Awesome. What team was the biggest surprise, for good or bad, this past season?
Oh, that was obvious. I actually picked the Falcons to make it to the Super Bowl, and they barely won 4 games, so that's the Falcons easily.
That's since he picked the Falcons, I will have to say the San Diego Chargers for me, because at the beginning of the season, I didn't even know any players on their team besides Phillip Rivers, and I thought they came out of nowhere, and actually by the end of the season were one of the better teams in the league.
We had adopted them by the end of the
I know,
season.
by the end of the season, they became I didn't even talk about them in the preseason, and by the end of the season, they became
singing about them.
That's right, they were my dark horse team, so I'll go Chargers. He went positive, he went negative, I'll go positive.
Kind of both ends of the spectrum on that. So much expectation on the Falcons coming into the season.
Yeah,
it's just
horrible.
It was horrible.
That's the count.
Yeah, the count wonking in the daylight.
That's the reason a while ago was the first time we heard from the count in 9 weeks.
That's right. Go ahead.
All right, our next question is, this one's a 2-parter for both of
Uh-oh.
you. And Steve, I'll throw this one to you first, okay?
Sweet.
It's a 2-parter. First part of it, what do you think Bill Belichick's sweatshirt smells like? And the second part of that is, do you think it's intentionally made to smell that way for the post-game handshake?
I think it smells probably like Rex Ryan's wife's feet. That's what I think it smells like. And I think it smells like that in the post-game presser, absolutely, because he doesn't want to stick around very long and answer the questions because her feet stink. Rex Ryan likes it, though.
I'm going to have to go with it. Probably smells like Jedi blood because he's the Emperor Bill Belichick, so it probably reeks of dead Jedi.
There you go.
I think he probably leaves it on for the same reason, to get rid of the media after it, so he definitely leaves it on for that purpose.
So is that because does that make it easy for him when he goes to do the handshake with the other coach after the game? He can just kind of push them away, you know.
Oh,
that's because
absolutely.
his handshake usually lasts like a half
judging
second.
by Bill Belichick, the way he looks, he hates human contact. So Yeah, absolutely.
Think he's got some OCD going on a little bit?
Staying with my Darth Vader thing, he'd probably rather cut your hand off than shake it.
Yeah.
Choke you.
Wow. Nice. Okay, moving on to the next question. Ward, got this one for you. Name a player on another team that you would love to have playing for your team, your Homer team, next season. And I made a little note here. Honey Badger, possibly?
Yeah, that was the obvious one, so I'll stay away from that one. I'm going to go Colin Kaepernick because he's still my boy. I love a running quarterback. That's just how the Eagles have always been. And, I mean, as good as Foles was, I'm just used to having a running quarterback there, and without a running quarterback there.
Perfectly.
Yeah, Cap
Put him in number 7.
They were actually going to trade Cap before to the Eagles last year, right before Alex Smith got hurt. Thanks a lot, Alex.
Yeah. That's why we hate you here on the program. The question: any player in the league,
any player in the league that you would love that's not playing for your beloved Vikings that you would love to have on your team.
Give me that other Green Bay quarterback. It worked fairly well last time. I'll take Aaron Rodgers.
You want Brett Favre again?
An absolute sellout I am.
Don't you feel kind of dirty?
No, not at
His
all.
soul just died a little, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it didn't die one bit because you know what?
Already dead.
I'm about winning. It's already dead. That's it. I was gonna wrap it up, put a little bow. No, it's already dead. I don't have it. I already sold out to Brett Favre. Are you kidding me? Can't get any worse than that.
Nice.
I care about wins, and I'll sell my soul to Satan to get them. And Satan is Aaron Rodgers at this present time. So that's easy.
So Aaron Rodgers coming down from Green Bay over to
Minnesota. I didn't know Satan talked with a list.
Do you think he would be the savior? Would that be the savior for Minnesota?
It's Super Bowl, baby, all the way.
Guaranteed?
Guaranteed.
Is that a lock? Are you putting that down?
Kidding me? Give me the best quarterback in the league.
Displaced Diehards guarantee. I like
no question.
Give him the best quarterback in the league outside in negative 90 degrees for the next 2 years.
That's right. Give it to me. I'll take it.
All right, moving on to our next question.
Don't tell Aaron Rodgers to give it to you too much, or you might get a different result than what you're anticipating.
That's going down a dark path. I don't think we need to talk about that one.
No. Worse than Rex Ryan's wife's feet.
There you go. Ward, name a coach who has held on to his job for far too long other than Jason Garrett.
As soon as you said that, I was Jason Garrett.
Yes.
Wow.
That's why you always
nice
listen.
Wrinkle.
That's why you always listen to the whole question. Other than Jason Garrett, who has held on to their head coaching position for far too long.
Oh man, that's tough.
That's a tough one there.
That's one. You
so
have to
many
think
turnovers
on.
this year.
Yeah, there's.
I've stumped the diehards.
I'll say Mike Pett. I'll go first. Mike Patine. They just hired him this week in Cleveland. I think he's had the
been
job
there too long.
way too long. Like, get the hell out of there as fast as possible.
I'm gonna go with Marvin Lewis in Cincinnati because he gets them to the playoffs 3 straight years in the playoffs, and they haven't won a game yet. So I guess Marvin Lewis. I mean, even though it is the Bengals and he's gotten them to the playoffs.
Right.
Time for a change in Cincinnati then. Well, this next question kind of rolls off of this last question, and we're going to give this. We'll give this to Steve here. Okay, it's role playing time.
All right? I love role playing.
You are Jason Garrett. All right, you are the coach of the Cowboys.
Oh God!
Jerry Jones comes to you and says he's let Tony Romo go, and you're in charge of hiring a new quarterback. Out of these candidates, who do you pick? Wendy Thomas from the Wendy's fast food restaurant, the Riddler, Carrot Top, or that dude with the jacked up face in the movie Mask? You know, that flick where Sam Elliott was banging Cher.
Well, Mask can't be it because he plays linebacker for the Green Bay Packers, AJ Hawk. So that it can't be him. Wouldn't be. You say quarterback, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I was too busy making my Jason Garrett face. As you can see, I'm already embodying Jason Garrett by not even
Blank
hearing
mode.
your question and going straight into blank mode. I can't be AJ Hawk. So
you'll note that all your
help me out.
All your options.
Wendy was one.
Yeah, Wendy from the Wendy Thomas from the fast food restaurant.
Give me Carrot Top. That guy's ripped.
That guy's guns.
He
That's
is.
what I was gonna say.
That guy's
You seen this
ripped.
dude?
Give me Carrot Top. I mean, we match. I get the theme here, but give me Carrot Top.
Ward, who you picking for your new quarterback? If you're Jason Garrett, out of those options,
I'm picking Wendy because I want the Cowboys to lose every game possible, and that's probably the best way to do it.
You think that's his motive?
Carrot Top can throw the ball over those mountains. Ode to Kenny the Snake.
Kenny the Snake approved.
That's right.
All right, that pretty much knocks out the questions from the first segment. Now this is where it gets intense. All right, this is rapid
I like
fire.
intense.
This is rapid fire round. Okay. Now, fast questions, fast answers. All right, and
This will be good.
I'm going to ask the question, and on all these questions, we're going to start with Ward. I'm going to ask the question. You're going to give me your answer. Steve, you're going to give me your answer, like real fast.
Okay.
Don't even think about it.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Rapid fire.
Boom.
Rex Ryan or Ryan Steakhouse?
Rex Ryan,
Ryan Steakhouse.
Giselle or Kristen Cavallari?
Christian Cavallari,
Cavallari.
Michael Keaton Batman or Christian Bale Batman?
Michael Keaton.
There's no,
No, we didn't even have to hear the other ones.
it doesn't matter who the other ones are. Michael Keaton.
Bree Olsen or Jaden James?
Bree.
Don't know who either are.
Bree.
You don't know who Jaden
You need to
James
know
is?
who they
You-
are.
You should probably Google
You
that.
find out. We'll find out after
Yep.
the show.
I'll show you. I have a wallpaper on my phone.
Bree's my favorite of anybody. It could have been anybody. Bree. I
Here we
love
go.
you, Bree.
Would you rather hear your
Watch
team
the show. I love you, Bree.
your team win with defense or win with offense?
Defense.
Offense.
Going into next season, who you taking? Dolphins or Falcons?
Falcons.
Falcons.
Indoor stadium games or outdoor open field games?
Indoor.
Outdoor. 2 years. PCF Stadium.
Who has hotter cheerleaders, Dallas or Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay.
Dallas.
Ain't no Dallas chicks.
Ward is really catching the rules here for the rapid fire round. I like it. Hooters or Show-Me's?
Hooters.
Hooters.
All
Show Me's killed all of our bar business. Fuck you guys and your titties.
How can you say fuck titties? All right.
You can fuck titties.
There you go. It's just true. All right. Last one for the rapid fire round. Jack Nicholson Joker or Heath Ledger Joker?
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. You can't ask Batman one question. It's always the original Tim Burton Batman's always going to be.
That was in question to me up until last week whenever they kept showing the Batman 1 in re-digital HD on AMC, and I was sold. I was like, man, I haven't even seen some of this movie.
All right, that closes out the rapid fire round. And now the super rapid fire round.
I can't wait. What is super rapid fire?
Super rapid
Is that
fire
one
round.
answer?
It is 5 questions
Okay.
pertaining to the same topic. All right? And here's your question.
This is
Your topic is, who would you rather have on your dodgeball team? Are you ready?
Kenny Powers.
Same format. We're starting with Ward. You ready? Would you rather have a legless man with a good arm or an armless man who can catch with his knees?
An armless man that catches with his knees.
Armless man that can catch with his knees.
Peyton Manning or Tom
Good
Brady?
defense. Tom Brady.
I'm sorry. I missed it.
Peyton Manning or Tom Brady on your dodgeball team?
Peyton Manning.
Okay. Sling Blade Manning or Billy Bob Thornton?
Sling Blade.
Billy
Sling
Bob-
Blade?
Billy Bob Thornton, jack of all trades.
Danny Tanner or Joey Gladstone?
Danny Tanner.
Oh, God. Rapid fire Joey Gladstone. Cut it out. I mean, get out of here.
And finally, Chris Riley or Beans?
Beans.
Beans.
Okay.
San Diego Superchargers.
And that closes out the sit down
Can I
with
take
Ward.
Uncle Jesse?
You can, no,
I
you-
mean-
Uncle Jesse is not.
Okay.
He competes against no one.
I like Joey Gladstone, though.
There you go.
Dave Coulier.
That closes out the segment.
Always thought
of
DJ
sit
was
down
hot
with
back
Ward and Turner.
Are we done?
That was it.
That was
it.
excellent.
That was the sit
segment right
down.
there. That was fun.
That wasn't that bad. I was totally waiting to be embarrassed, but I wasn't.
I was waiting for a Super Bowl question.
No Super Bowl. We already covered this.
Woo!
I think we've about covered it all, and I think that's going to bring an end to the program.
I think that's going to do it. Wrap it up. Take us home.
I want to
love this
remind you.
part. This is my
I want to
favorite part.
remind you can listen to a new episode of our podcast every Friday at DisplacedDiehards.com. You can follow us on Twitter at Diehards Podcast. You can like us on Facebook /DisplacedDiehards. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Displaced Diehards. You can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Miro Guide, Podbean, and Double Twist. Also, listen to our local show, The Homers, every Friday at 4 p.m. and
You should.
6:30 p.m.
It's good.
for all your local high school basketball information.
Real
Also,
good.
follow at The Homers 1027 on Twitter and like The Homers 1027 on Facebook. And you can also watch Displaced Diehards Television every Saturday at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time on Time Warner Cable Channel 72. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
Skeeter digging. Displaced Diehards.
Displaced Diehards.
I am a displaced diehard.
I'm a displaced diehard. We are displaced diehards.